Hi, I'm Shane.
And I'm Erica.
For the past 3.5 years, we've been traveling the world together.
People always ask us how we get to travel so often and go to so many places, and we want to show you how we do it. So come on this adventure with us.
We are the Nowhere Couple. Welcome back, everyone, to Season 2 of Worldwide. You may notice things look and sound a little different. We have decided to set up our own studio here.
Yeah, so we've taken it away from just audio and now have the video. Excited to give you some new content, new discussions, new debates. Should be good.
We're ready to go, and today we're going to be jumping right into it with our recent trip to Italy. We were there at the end of last week, and we had a great time. You were only there for the end of the trip, but we both went through the same entry requirement. So we know a lot of people are interested and kind of reached out. What is the deal with the green pass in Italy, and how did we get into the country?
So to get into Italy, we had to take a COVID test. Do you know the exact type of COVID test? I think it was an antigen test.
Yeah, PCR, antigen. I don't believe it could have been a rapid test.
Mm-hmm. So luckily we found a pharmacy close to home that gave us the test results like within 8 to 12 hours. So I actually took my COVID test at 5 p.m. and then at 2 a.m. the next day I got the results. So that was fantastic because then that same day I hopped on the flight and was off to Italy to meet up with Shane.
And some of you guys may know, but I did travel with my mom before Erica got there. My mom is wanted to come traveling with us for a while now, and when she found out I was going to Italy alone for a period of time, it was going to be before Erica got there, she was like, I have to be there.
She would not miss a chance to go to Italy.
No, so. she wasn't going to pass that up. So her and I went to the same pharmacy. We got our test done around 4 o'clock, and by the time I woke up the next morning, 8 a.m.-ish, test was done. So no problem there. And then so for any passenger entering Italy, you had to get COVID tested. Mm-hmm. But if you're unvaccinated, you still have to quarantine. I think it is for 5 days. And
only 5, not 2 weeks?
I think it's 5 days with a test out after 5. But I think if you test positive, then you have to quarantine longer. But I think after the 5 days, they test you. And if you're negative again, you're good to go about your business.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about how when we actually got to the check-in desk, what they looked at and all the documents needed and all of that?
We had two totally different experiences with that.
Why don't you go first because you flew out before me?
So we both flew out of JFK, Terminal 4, which is where Delta operates all of its flights for the most part out of JFK. And they just kind of lightly asked my mom and I. They were like, "Oh, you're tested, and you filled out those EU forms, and you got your CDC card." And we just were like, "Yep." He was like, "Cool. Here's your tickets. Go right ahead." And that was the only time a spider just rappelled onto me.
I just watched it go down onto Shane's arm. And it's going back up now.
Going back up.
Anything will happen.
We'll let it be for now.
Crazy.
Wild. But
okay.
So that was
Anyway.
the only time that anybody asked for any of my paperwork or documents or anything. It was smooth sailing. We went through security. We hung out at the lounge, the Delta one, which at JFK is amazing. It's got that big open air desk. Can't believe this thing is just going back up. And
just gonna let it be.
And so the JFK Delta Lounge in Terminal 4 is amazing because it's got that big, we've been there together, it's got that big open air balcony that overlooks a lot of the gates. And it was just a fun place to sit pre-flight, and we boarded and went through customs in Italy. Nobody asked to see anything. So we were in the country relatively easily. But I know you had a differing experience.
Yeah, a little bit. So when I was at the check-in desk at JFK, well, first off, I should say this was my first time I flew actually alone. And then so especially doing it internationally was maybe a little bit anxious going into it. But then once I was kind of on my way, I knew exactly what I was doing and it ended up all being fine. Shane is distracted by the spider that is now back up in the ceiling.
I think it's going to drop back down onto me.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so when I was checking in at the terminal at JFK, they asked to actually see my COVID test, to see my vaccination card, even though I had a negative COVID test, and then also to see it was like the EUPLF, I want to say that it was called. It just was kind of a form that we had to fill out that said going to Italy, flying on Delta, just kind of some basic questions. It wasn't anything too intensive at all, but
He's coming down again.
okay. I was happy that they actually checked those documents, especially because, I kind of had gone out of my way to fill them out. And it was nice knowing that getting on the flight, the whole flight had to be negative from COVID. So it gave me a little bit of comfort knowing that, no one was infected and all of that. So, yeah.
Definitely agree with that. And something that I realized is that nobody's filling out those custom slips on airplanes anymore. Remember, they used to pass those out. So I think that EU form is maybe in placement of like a customs slip now.
I always thought that was like kind of a hassle to have to fill out and stuff. I'm like, oh, do I have a pen? Do I know what, my flight number is, my passport number?
After they wake you up in the morning.
Yeah. So I'm didn't even realize until you just said it now that they had kind of gone away with that, but that's nice. Yeah.
So my mom and I flew into Rome. We flew into Milan. We stayed a night in Milan at the Sheraton Diana Majestic. Place was an awesome, very old school hotel where a lot of Milan is very new, but we stayed in an older building. It was a beautiful hotel. We just stayed for the night, and then we took a train to Rome the next day, which my mom was very excited about Rome. I had seen it before. I feel like sometimes seeing so much of the same thing can get a little repetitive. But I'm still worried about the spider. I'm sorry. I like cannot believe it's now just hovering maybe like a 2 feet above my head. So we got to Rome and we had an awesome Airbnb.
How long was the train between Milan and Rome?
Well, so that's a loaded question. The train in front of us broke down. So they started handing out champagne, or maybe I should say Prosecco. I don't know what it was for sure, but it was a bubbly wine, and we were on the train for maybe like 4.5+ hours. I think it's only scheduled to take like just over 3. On the way home, it was very quick, but we had more stops on the way there as well than we did on the way home. Like we didn't stop in Florence or Bologna. We just stopped in the 2 stations in Rome.
The spider went back down now past Shane.
Now?
Oh my gosh.
I see it.
This is nuts. Come on.
Anything can happen on the Worldwide Pod.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll have to clip that. So the train took a long time. They had food on it. We had nice seats. We had like a table, and we sat across from each other.
Did they have classes of seats, or was it all just kind of mixed? All just one?
I think it was classes. It seemed like there was like a business class and then like a regular coach, but it seemed like the seats didn't differ too much. It was more the amenities.
Nice.
I don't think the economy seats, so to speak, got food. But we got like a free lunch and free drinks and snacks, and then on top of that, free alcohol with the delay, which was fine. Then we got to Rome. We had a beautiful Airbnb that had, I FaceTimed you pretty much that first night. It had an amazing balcony that you could see like the tops of all the major monuments in Rome. It was amazing.
I was jealous of that balcony. It looked humongous. It looked like it had 2 benches kind of built into the wall, I think, and then also a table.
Like plant pots all built in around it also, and like just like a patio table, what you would expect.
I was jealous of that because especially when we look at hotels and Airbnbs, I always want an outside space, whether it's a balcony, patio, little lawn, just because we like to be outside, kind of fully enjoy the whole atmosphere of the the destination. So I was jealous of that patio.
Yeah, my mom. I selected a few for my mom. She's never stayed in an Airbnb before, so that was her first experience, and she had a great time.
So, like, you selected a few, and then she picked the one?
I think, like, 3 to 5 options, and she said that one for sure. And it ended up being great. It was on a road. It was Coronado, and it had amazing little shops all over it. And when you look at some of the best places to shop and some of the best streets to shop in Rome, that was listed as one of them. and we were right on a corner. So when you come down, then there was like a small piazza with a fountain, and then like 3 or 4 restaurants like right there. So it was.
I love that.
We drank at one of those restaurants, but we didn't have dinner there. We ventured further out. But it was awesome. We were in the Piazza Navona area, which was really, really nice. And trying to think, we drank with some German priests until about 2 a.m. one night, which was very interesting and very fun. The restaurant had shut down, and the husband and wife that owned it worked there together. The wife makes pasta just right in front of everybody. And you watch her just take it and you bring it back, and in 10 minutes you're eating it. It was amazing. It was really, really good. And they had closed down, but they had pulled up seats and they were drinking with us.
The owners of the shop?
Yeah. And then they were sitting and drinking with us. They brought out meloncello. It was. I've never had something so good.
Yeah, I've never had that at all. You described it as like being so delicious.
It was like candy flavored.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like limoncello, you sometimes get that aftertaste. Not even close. This meloncello was.
Should have saved me some.
I didn't even know it existed. I couldn't have found. I don't think I could have found any. I don't know.
Did they make it? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd
I should have
amazing if
asked.
they
I
did.
was.
Yeah.
I was a little overserved at that point.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But the priests were hysterical, and normally I feel like you don't think that, but they were great company, and the subject of discussion was anything other than religion. They were hysterical.
Oh my gosh.
They were very curious about what kind of cars we drove, since they were German, and they were good fun. And we did a food tour, which was amazing as well. We had that potato pizza. It was basically in America what you would just call potato chips on pizza, but it was softer, but it was equally as salty and cheesy, and how pizza crust is in Italy, just perfect.
So was it actually like thin, crispy potato like chips, or was it like kind of like slices of potatoes?
It was slices of potato. They were not crispy.
Yeah.
It was soft. It was almost like a mashed potato consistency, but they were in the chip looking form. It was really, really good. We then went to a very old, like I don't know the correct word for it, but a meat distributor.
Like a butcher?
Yeah, a butcher is probably the right word for that. And we tried all kinds of prosciutto and salamis, and it was all delicious. The truffle salami was amazing, and as well we paired that with wine there.
Ooh.
So every meat we ate had a I'll say a half glass of wine, which was delicious. And then we went to a pasta place, we went to a gelato place, and we went to a baker, like a pastry shop, where I got in a fight with somebody, like a verbal fight. Somebody else from, of course, America was sitting on the other side of the restaurant, and then there was this older Italian group sitting in the middle, and we were kind of talking to each other through them. And the one guy just stood up and started yelling at me in Italian, and I was like, I don't know what you want from me. And I said I was sorry, and he just didn't understand. Our guide apologized, and he was just shrugging him away. He was in a bad mood, it seemed like. But the other guy actually turned out to be a photographer, so that's kind of why we were just conversing about that. And he goes out for 3 months to Italy and teaches courses.
Wow.
So I don't know if he does that through the school. Clearly our conversation was kind of a little short, but the food was amazing. We had cannolis there, and you know me.
You eat all the cannolis you could possibly have.
Anytime I can find one, yeah. I'm down.
Yeah. Especially in Italy, like I bet like handmade at the shop, like, as local and fresh as it gets.
It was I mean, yeah, we were there relatively early in the morning, and that you could tell it was fresh.
That's
like just
amazing.
made. It was very good. And then mostly my mom and I just walked around. We found a lot of local shops, a lot of other local attractions. We were very close to the Pantheon, which was awesome. Which I found out, I believe, was 115 AD that was made. And to me, that's just crazy because there's nothing architecturally as impressive in America to that. That's been around as long.
No. Yeah, we don't have anything that's as old as that. The country is only 200 something years old. I mean,
yeah, it's like 235,
not,
something like that. Yeah, it's
nothing is that special as the Colosseum and Pantheon, all those awesome monuments.
Yeah, so we went to Trevi. We did a lot of walking around. We ate we really just ate our way through the city. As
How can you not?
As
In
one
Italy
should in Rome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sights to see. And unfortunately, there are a lot of restaurant names I'm forgetting. I'll just kind of drop them in the comments or in the description of the video and on the podcast. But we went to like a famous coffee place, and I had a Frappuccino, which everybody associates with Starbucks, but it was possibly the best coffee I've ever had in my life. And it was right outside the Pantheon, like you get your coffee, you walk, and it was right there. And also I don't know what was going on in Rome, if it was some kind of summit. Meetings between maybe the EU countries, but there was a lot of news coverage going on while we were there, and a lot of police escorted vehicles. So I don't know if it was some kind of government meeting or something, but there was a lot going on while we were there.
Did you see anyone that stood out that could have been a political leader that you know of?
Anybody sitting in the back of a tinted Mercedes with police escorts. It could have been anybody. It could have been a president of a country I'm just unfamiliar with. But I got up very early. A couple mornings I shot Trevi very early. I shot the Colosseum very early. We went to a beautiful sunset spot called the Orange Hill, which has this beautiful lookout where it's like a tree arch, and directly through that is the St. Patrick's Basilica, the Sistine Chapel, and why can I not think of it? The Vatican is the word I'm looking for. Which we also visited the Vatican City. That was the first time I had ever done that, so I thought that was cool. And so there's these tree arches, and they look right through, and it is the peak. Right, it all lines up perfectly. And normally, I guess you can line up and take pictures. There's this tiny little keyhole that you could shoot through because there's doors, and it was actually very funny. There's these doors. It was closed off. There was a wedding, some kind of private event being held inside. Beautiful place to have a wedding, first off. So whoever was getting married there, congratulations. Jealous. and I'm very jealous. But and sorry for this next part. But so somebody just opened the door. It wasn't locked. They just pushed the door open. I was just taking pictures right through.
Of the wedding?
Well, it was part of the wedding, but I really wanted to get that tree arch. I kind of showed you a little bit. You could get a little bit of a tent, and the tree arches had these little candles leading down the pathway. It was really, really nice. I'll have to, again, link, maybe put a picture up here or something.
Yeah.
Of the situation. But it was beautiful. And that's pretty much what we did in Rome. And then we took the train back. We had a much smoother experience. We spent a night...
Back to Milan?
Yes, back to Milan. And we had a night there alone while you were flying out.
Yeah, when I was flying out alone for the first time internationally. But it was a success because I came to you.
The flights were mostly empty. So you ended up having a row by yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I should kind of begin at the beginning of my journey. Well, just to start off, I was so nervous about finding parking. I mean, at, JFK, if you've ever been, it's kind of chaotic. But
a nightmare is more.
Yeah, to say the least. But so I was nervous about that, nervous about finding the terminal, finding a spot, getting to, the gate on time, all of that. But luckily I just found a parking spot, at the front of the garage, and was able just to walk 50 feet then into the terminal. Thank goodness. Check-in was easy, like I kind of talked about.
They checked your paperwork.
I'm happy they checked my documents.
How long were you at the gate before you boarded? Maybe 20 minutes longer?
I would say half an hour in total. I like to kind of buy a snack at the gate, buy a lot of water. As I've explained on past episodes of the podcast, I chug water like it's nobody's business before and while on flights.
Flights are very dehydrating.
Yeah, and I've found that it kind of helps with jet lag then when I get to my next location, when I get to my destination, to like have, be hydrated and all of that. So I did that. I bought Cheez-Its. Then, 20 minutes later, whatever, I got on the plane. I was one of the last ones on because I don't like to kind of like crowd at the gate. I feel like that's like pointless.
Call that gate lice.
Gate lice, yeah, to be like waiting and, shoving people. Like I'll just, you guys can all go do that and I'll just wait and then I'll happily get to my seat and then put my headphones in, and that's exactly what I did. Watched a few movies, fell asleep to a few movies. No issues on the flight at all. It was mostly empty. I would say the plane was, like mostly empty. So I had the 2 seats to myself. Well, actually, I was booked. My seat was booked to be with somebody.
There were enough empty seats that you could just move.
Yeah, so I didn't even sit in the seat that I was supposed to at all. I just saw that it was, next to somebody else. So I just took it upon myself to move back 2 rows and then was empty. Yeah. So I kind of, half lounged, half laid. It was difficult to get comfy, but I was able to fall asleep, thankfully. So then when I did land in Milan, I kind of had half of a night's sleep at least. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, those flights to Europe are always really tricky because you're either getting 1 hour of sleep or at most like 5.
Yeah.
Because you have to figure I don't think you're served dinner and they're cleared. They turn the lights off until about like an hour and a half or 2 hours into the flight. And it's only an 8-hour flight. And then they wake you up an hour and a half before landing. So
yeah,
at most you're getting, 4.5, 5 hours of sleep? It's kind of pointless to even... I feel like sometimes to attempt to even try to sleep is pointless. Because I feel like sometimes if you stay awake the whole time and you just try to power through, it's a little bit easier than drifting into a tiny bit of sleep and then your body is like, well, I need more of that right now. So when you get to your destination. But I do always try to sleep, but I feel like never really works out the way you anticipate it going in your head.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with that point to an extent because for me personally, I mean, I feel like getting any amount of sleep is better than nothing, especially because then once I do get to my destination, having a little bit of sleep, in my back pocket is better than just going a night completely without sleep.
Well, we'll have to save that topic for... another debate.
Another episode.
So then I picked you up. It was pretty smooth in Milan. Yeah. It was 2 trains, basically a quick little metro subway ride to the main station in Milan. And then they had the Malpensa Express, which is maybe a 30 to 45 minute train ride with 3 stops to the airport and then the city center. It just goes all day, 2 times on the hour, 2 times every hour. Believe on the 27 and 57 of every hour. So I guess every 30 minutes. But it was fairly simple, and I waited by the gate. You came out, and we were right on the train. We were probably back in the city less than an hour after you landed.
Yeah, and I was happy to take a little bit of a nap on that train into Milan, too. So, again, I need as much sleep as I could get, so...
Do you remember what the first thing we ate was when you landed? Because I don't, so I'm curious if you recall.
Yes, we went to. I had risotto at that one place. Yeah, I don't know the name of it, but so what we did when we then took the train into Milan is we went to your mom's hotel where she was staying because she was booked separately than us because she had extended the stay and was unable to then stay with us in the Airbnb that we had planned on.
She was supposed to go home before Erica got there, but she was having such a grand old time with me. She decided why not extend the trip? Which is fine. Yeah. But she ended up getting a cool hotel that was, a minute walk from our Airbnb?
Yeah, which both places were just like 2 blocks outside from the Duomo. So it was all, centrally located, good location, easily walkable to a lot of stuff. But so then Shane took me to his mom's hotel. I was able to put my bags down, kind of, clean myself up a little bit. And then the 3 of us just kind of walked, as is a good idea, in Italy and Europe, just kind of walk and find a good looking restaurant. We went to eat. I got saffron risotto. Your mom got French fries. I don't know what you got. Oh, you got a ham and cheese sandwich. Ham and cheese, like grilled cheese.
Yeah, it was like a panini style. It was warm.
Got a cappuccino.
It was pretty good. I think my mom had wine. But that's my mom. So then we went to the top of the Duomo, which was really cool. We got into the main area of it, which was really beautiful. The stained glass, especially.
Yeah, well, so we began by going up the steps and then to the top of it, and then you kind of walked around, on top of it. They had like a little bit of a path that they wanted you to follow, but you could kind of go off of it side to side to, get closer, look at the building and all of that. But then after you walk on the top of it, then it takes you down the other set of steps and then inside the whole Duomo. And that, I would say, was more magnificent than being actually up on top of it.
Oh, definitely. I think being up top was cool, but it was much more impressive inside.
Yeah, and then, the top of it had some scaffolding, some plywood. You couldn't exactly see all of it, but you got a good idea. But
they were
being
definitely
inside,
just doing some kind of work.
yeah,
I mean, it's how old of
understandably
a
so.
building, right?
Yeah,
It needs some kind of maintenance every once
Yeah.
in a while. And then we actually went under that main piazza there, which is where they had the like baptism, the old baptism tub, all those runes that we went down inside.
yeah. After we had explored the whole inside of the Duomo, which was actually cool to be inside of it because we we couldn't exactly see, we could hear priests kind of singing some hymns and nice sounding chants and stuff like that. So that was interesting to see kind of things in action. And then from the inside of the Duomo, we were able to go underneath it, kind of in the basement, which was like the ruins kind of archaeological section.
So that was cool. All that for only €15.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got on with our day. What else did we do after? Did we
Yeah.
did we go to Luini's after that?
I think so. Yeah, we did a lot. We jam-packed those 2 days that I was there because it was only 2 days, so we wanted to see as much as we possibly could. So I don't think we stopped moving at all.
No,
So from the Duomo, I think we walked around a little bit, then eventually made our way to food.
Yeah, this place Luini's, which is like Hot Pocket, like the most delicious, authentic Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
And they had sweet ones, salty ones, savory. It was
Everything you could imagine it was like a dough pastry.
It was like
they
a
had
donut.
baked and fried. Yeah, it tasted like a donut, like a savory donut, like a little bit sweet, but like just the right
little
balance.
salt too. Oh, so good. That's I would say the highlight of the food from the trip. Honestly,
It was amazing.
It was so good.
We had to go back. I mean, it was just so good.
I'm
in the
ready
2
to go
days,
back now.
yeah, in the 2 days that I was there and that we spent in Milan together, we went twice. So amazing.
So then the second day we went to more of
Mm-hmm.
the modern aspect. So we did get up really early that next morning, or was that
That was the last
morning?
morning.
Okay, so we got a regular night's sleep, and then we met up with my mom for breakfast. I'm assuming we did that day, and then
Yeah, we got the chocolate croissants.
oh
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
Yummy.
at the one place that you guys had been to, I think, when you
Right,
were there
right.
a few days ago.
That place was good, right
Before
by the Apple
Rome.
store.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was really good. You're right. And then we went to more of the modern area, which Erica had been to in the past. Those buildings, the vertical forest. What is the real name for those?
Bosco Verticale. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. My Italian is not good at all, but yeah.
They're beautiful. They're just apartment buildings, is it?
I think it's just apartment buildings, yeah, that have trees, bushes, all types of vegetation and plants, laced in and out of the balconies, the windows, all of it. It's
they're
beautiful.
tall
It's literally a vertical forest, with a building stuck in between. 2 buildings, actually. There's a set of 2 of them, yeah.
They're really, really cool.
And that whole section of Milan is, modern, awesome, new, beautiful architecture. Nothing like I've ever seen, at least in the U.S. For those of you who know who she is, a lot of awesome modern buildings designed by Zaha Hadid. A lot of cool apartments.
Yeah, that whole mall was like a work park. A corporation park. I don't know why I can't think of the correct phrase for it. But it was mostly office buildings around that mall that we had lunch at then, which had those cool look downs into the grocery store and then into the parking garages. Everything was built underneath that, which was really cool.
Yeah, so it was like a circle plaza that was open with those look down points in between. And then on the outline, the perimeter of the piazza was restaurants and some offices, yeah.
And what else was over there? Like that street market, right? You got that cool jacket.
Yes, so we had plans on just going to, to check out some of the cool buildings and, see the buildings basically. And then we kind of stumbled upon accidentally an awesome set of stalls, markets. And Shane's mom and I did some shopping. I bought a jacket, and I think she bought, a few jackets. A lot of cute and inexpensive stuff, yeah. And then we made our way over to the buildings. Yeah.
Right. And then we went to those buildings, and it's so interesting. We went to that new modern area, which we had a great time at, and then we went to the older section of
Navili,
Milan.
I think it was called.
Yeah. And with the canal or river, I don't know if it's man-made or not. But that had a lot of the old shops and thrift stores on it, which was really cool.
That was cool.
It was really different from a lot of other parts of Milan. I wish we had more time to explore it. But we did have dinner that night. kind of ready to go, and we're both all tired. For my mom and I, it was coming to the end of a long trip, and for you, it was the beginning of a tiring few days.
Yeah. For me, it all just went by so quickly, So, yeah.
And so then that last morning, we got up bright and early. Was it 6 a.m.? Sunrise is not until 7:30, which doesn't sound too early, but when you get up in total darkness to take pictures, it's not super appealing. And we wanted that Duomo look with none of the people there. That was kind of our goal, was we got to get there before the crowds get there, because the crowds were crazy.
Just nuts. My mom would call it a mob scene. Just people everywhere in the middle of the day in the evening time by the Duomo.
And plus the protests that were going on, I believe everybody was protesting a green card, which also I don't think we mentioned this, but so if you are an American and you do have the white CDC vaccination card, that does count as a green pass or green card in Italy. That's required to go into most museums. We needed it to go into the Duomo. Basically, you just need proof of vaccination to eat inside or do a lot of activities inside in Italy. So just a quick side note on that. So we did pictures there, and then that mall, right? The
what was it called? Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II. Again, sorry about my Italian.
It's a mouthful.
But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, expensive, fancy mall with all designer shops in it. But you can get drinks.
It's got these very impressive arches and a glass dome ceiling.
Beautiful, like mosaic tiles on the floor. Like when you think of kind of authentic, real Italian architecture, this Galleria of a mall is just, where it's at.
Definitely. And if you ever find yourself there, they say to step on the bull's balls.
Yeah.
Which we saw. We found the bull. It was like worn out.
Yeah, on the tile floor. Yeah.
People clearly do it all the time. They say it's like the equivalent of being in Rome and throwing a coin into Trevi. It basically represents that you will come back.
So we found that, and we stomped those balls out.
Respectfully, of course.
Yeah.
As respectfully as you can when stomping on somebody's balls. But it was a really interesting morning, and it was really cool to see all that empty. We got some cool video clips. We got some interesting photos. And that was kind of our trip. Did we do anything after that?
No, because we had to actually go home. We had to catch the flight. The flight was at like noon time, so we had to leave, Milan at like 8, 9 a.m., something like that. So between 6 and 8 was photos, and then we just went home. But it was so beautiful, and I'm happy and thankful that we did wake up when we did to go see it empty, because we posted some photos on the Instagram page and people asked, wow, how did you see the Duomo all empty, all of that?
How do you do that?
Wake up early. I mean, that's the only way to avoid people. Yeah.
And we've done it in a lot of other places, and I'm assuming we're going to be doing it.
It's not going to stop anytime soon.
Much more. I mean, that's what I did alone in Trevi in the Coliseum, and to get pictures with nobody walking in front. That's when the time to do it is usually sunrise. And a note from a photographer: sunrise is great lighting to shoot in always. So if you have the commitment, you have the time, please do. It's the best time to shoot, in my opinion.
Makes it all that much more worth it. The photo's just a little bit better, because I know sometimes people edit out people from photos and all of that, but that may be difficult, or if you just want a little bit of a better shot. It stinks to have to wake up before sunrise, but just makes it all the much better.
Yeah, and on a vacation and on a trip, I mean, it gives you a couple of extra hours in the day to explore and stuff, and as well, especially when you only have a short period of time in the city. It definitely makes your time go further. So getting back into the U.S. was honestly much easier than I expected it to be. We did the self-COVID test, so re-entering the United States as an American citizen, their rapid tests were accepted. So we did a rapid antigen test. It was a self-test by Bionax Now, I believe it was. I will, again, I'll put that in the comments, but to my knowledge, that's what it was called. And it's a little weird, right? You're kind of on FaceTime. You're being seen on FaceTime, and somebody you cannot see is talking to you, describing how to administer the test to yourself.
Yeah, that's how it went.
So your experience was how then?
I did not feel like it was awkward to be seen by somebody but not be able to see them. I didn't mind it that much. I kind of understand the premise that I'm just taking a COVID test to go home, and they probably see 1,000 patients a day, so I didn't think anything of it.
I just found it a little weird. I couldn't hear my guy properly.
That was tough. I couldn't, the volume was a little bit tough and stuff. But the test, the packaging of the test did say step by step. So kind of as my doctor, I guess it was, saying the steps, I was following along on the actual test, and I was able to read it.
Exactly. So, I would say this is probably the easiest way to get back into the United States if you're leaving the country. It was
just a nose swab. You do it in each nose, and then you have to put it in the solution and then let it sit for 15 minutes, and then someone calls you back after the 15 minutes, and they just ask you.
They read you the results.
That you show them the results, and they also say, for me at least, they ask do you see the 1 line, 2 lines, whatever it may be.
It's like a pregnancy test.
Sure.
But it was because it was just like the lines, and it was it's a fairly simple process, and I would say it's definitely the easiest way to get back into the United States. So when we got to the check-in counter at Milan, it was, they just grazed over it. They were they just said, I know the kind of test. It seems like in all the info, it seems like the kind of test really matters. Like, oh, it has to be this test. It can't be this test, but all that happened is the lady who checked me in, she was like, oh, negative. That's all that matters. Go ahead. And I was like, all right.
It's probably better to be safe than sorry, to get the, test that it is describing that you need, because in case you do get, a gate agent who is kind of specific and looks for those specific details.
Oh, no, I'm not saying just get any test. But
but it was a breeze.
I'm just saying it was a fairly simple process.
It was.
And then the self-test, I believe, cost about $30. Again, my mom bought actually all of them, and she just brought them. And so that was kind of the easiest thing. I think she ordered them on Amazon. She got them. I got a 6-pack for her. My dad were going away another time also. And
it's all done through an app. You speak to someone on the app. The results get sent to the app, all of that. So then it's just easy to just have it all on your phone. You get an email with the QR code, which
is something that you need. Mm-hmm. And then, it was basically just take the test, and it's easy to bring the test rather than in a foreign country try to find it. I mean, I know that there are some countries where it's probably much easier to get a COVID test in than others right now. So if you have the means to buy these, I would say do that, because it eliminates any confusion. Essentially, if you have Wi-Fi, then you could just give yourself the test and be on your way, especially when re-entering the U.S. I don't know if these are accepted on the way out. I believe they're not, but in terms of coming home, this is definitely the way to do it. And we had a pretty smooth flight after that.
Yeah.
Watched a couple movies. And
slept a lot.
Yeah, customs at JFK was a breeze.
Didn't we do the self one?
No, we didn't do that. We went...
Oh, going into Milan, I did the self one. Yeah, you just scan the passport.
Yeah, and then you just walk through, and that was it. But no, in the
coming
US,
home,
it was really easy.
What did we do coming home?
It was just up to the booth.
Oh, just the typical going up to the booth. Oh, did you buy anything? No, whatever.
Do you have anything to
take
declare?
the photo of you.
No, they now scan your eyes, I think, and your face and everything, and welcome home.
That was it honestly all took 5 minutes. Thankfully, customs at JFK coming home had no line.
Which again, sometimes a nightmare, but I think obviously, not everything is fully recovered from COVID.
Yeah.
But I think it's November 8th or 6th. All the European countries will be allowed back into the United States. So we'll see what customs is like then.
Yeah.
I bet it's not going to be so simple for our next trip to Georgia. I don't think coming home is going to be as easy as it was this time around. But I think that pretty much covers the whole trip. Anything else that you feel we left out, or?
No, I mean, I wasn't there for that long at all. But as Shane had mentioned, I was there in the past, so it was just a lot of fun to kind of go back and then see some new buildings being built, especially in the modern section of Milan, because when I was there before, I saw them under construction. So now to see them complete was just really cool. So I'm grateful that I was able to do that.
Yeah,
grateful I was able to be there with you, but also your mom. She was a nice little added special guest.
It was nice to get away with her, especially since Bali got canceled. But,
I know how much Italy means to her and you guys.
Definitely.
Being so authentic Italian.
Definitely. All right, well, thanks for coming by, and that's kind of how we're going to do the podcast now in this kind of area, and we'll be doing them on the road coming up and stuff soon too. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. We know we have some kinks to kind of smooth out, but if you have any comments, suggestions, questions about Italy, Milan, whatever, leave it in the comments section and we'll be happy to answer you.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see you out there, guys.
See you out there.